had plenty of people who come to me, or I've seen them at the herb store and say, hey, I want to manage my blood pressure naturally, so I'm not going to take my medication. Well, they don't take the herbs seriously enough. They think if I take this cup of herbal tea, it's going to manage my blood pressure if I do it once or twice a week. But herbal medicine is serious medicine. It takes thoughtful, thorough assessment of a person and thoughtful, thorough consideration of the plant actions and the person's whole health history, and how to formulate a protocol, not just about herbs, but how to integrate it with what they're doing already.
Today we are bringing you a special episode with a guest host, Christine Gordon. I am Dr. Andrew Wong, the host of this podcast and co-founder of Capital Integrative Health. This podcast is dedicated to transforming the consciousness around what it means to be healthy and understanding the root causes of both disease and wellness. We are expanding our podcast, which I'm very excited about, to include conversations that explore all facets of the mind, body, and spirit. Today's co-host, Christine, is the practice administrator of Capital Integrative Health, and as an herbalist and yogi herself, she has a very unique view of integrative health. Today's guest is Colleen Zuntag, a clinical herbalist and mentor of Christine, who believes that health challenges and suffering can be powerful tools to reconnect us to our inner light, our ability to be well even within illness. She works with her clients to understand how plants are wonderful allies as we travel the road to wholeness, helping us build resiliency and a deeper self-awareness. Please enjoy this conversation with Christine and Colleen as they explore herbal medicine and how Colleen works with her clients using the infinite wisdom of plants on their healing journeys.
Welcome, Colleen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yay. I am so excited to have you here. We've been friends for a long time and colleagues as well. And I remember the first time meeting you way back, one time in a class, an herbal class many moons ago, and then again at Smile Herb Shop when you were there in the free clinic and also on the floor. And I remember watching you and thinking about, wow, this woman is really holding this sacred knowledge with such grace and has such reverence for the plants. And I just wanted to know more of you and more about you. And listening to you, I learned so much just on the periphery, and then getting to know you a little bit more over time, not only learning about plant medicine, but learning about relationship and how you so meaningfully cultivate relationship, not only with the plants, but with the people you are interacting with and partnering with them on their healing journey in a way that is so beautiful and open. Mm-hmm. So honored to have you here.
Well, thank you, Christine. That's thank you. I remember meeting you too on the floor. I remember vaguely the class with KP. I think KP Khalsa, the Ayurvedic instructor, and being on the floor at Smile, which was such a great place. And you held a really wonderful place there for that healing to happen, for those healing conversations to happen with the people who came into the free mini clinic and between ourselves to talk about the plants.
Yeah, good days, good times. So let's talk about what you do. What is an herbalist? What does an herbalist do?
Oh, wow. Okay. There are a lot of different ways to be an herbalist. I think you can be a person who's connected to your ancestral knowledge, that your family has this knowledge that's been passed down through generation upon generation of just being a kitchen herbalist, like a family herbalist. You have this knowledge from your ancestors, these memories of seeing people in your family support somebody with herbal medicine in your family who is sick, tending to them with the plants. And that can be a profound way of carrying on knowledge. It's not formal training, but that's still herbalism. And that you continue that with your family and your friends, and you spread that through your community. There are people who don't have that ancestral knowledge, but still love the plants and love being in nature and want to support their family and friends with plant medicine. So they will study on their own. They'll have conversations. They'll connect to other communities to learn. And that's still herbalism. Yeah. And that's the beauty about herbalism, I feel like, because it's not so regulated. I mean, in certain cases, we do need to have guidance. I mean, we're dealing with certain health issues. Definitely there needs to be a level of training and knowledge so we don't harm. That we first do no harm. We can do support. But then there's also the naturopath doctors who also are herbalists. Some are herbalists, some are not. And there's just a clinical herbalist, which is what I do. I'm a clinical herbalist. I've had training in the clinical setting, and that's what I do. I support people with plants to manage their health concerns, mental and emotional, physical. Spiritual, yes.
I have had the benefit and honor to be a client of yours, and so I want to share just a little bit about that and ask you, having partnered with you on my healing journey and experiencing positive outcomes, and not only in my physical body, but in my emotional well-being and my spiritual well-being. And I know there have been many times where we're talking about plants, and you might say, oh, this plant feels right for you. This plant feels right for you. And more often than not, that has been a plant that has impacted my spiritual wellness in some way. So I'm wondering what that's like, when you're partnering with a client and you're thinking about the plants and calling on the plants. How does that work? How does that work in your practice?
Well, I've thought about this a lot because I don't, I try to be an open vessel, that I want the information to flow through me. And that doesn't mean that I'm just willy-nilly randomly saying, oh, this plant, is coming to me. It popped into my head. But it comes from a baseline of training and experience with the plants, of study. And self-study, but also study with plants and studying with other teachers. And I think one thing about herbalism that's important is lineage. I mean, who you studied with and how that is translated into the work you do.
Yeah.
So the information's not mine. I don't feel like it comes through me from depth of study, breadth of study, which I'm always learning and always studying more and more as I grow as a person. And so that's what happens. It comes from that place. Plenty of times I've had a plant come in that I'm like, wow, I haven't worked with that plant before, and I wouldn't have thought of that here. And then I bring it up to the client, like to you, and you're like, oh, I was just thinking about that plant last week.
Yeah, that's happened. That has happened with us. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I guess this is it. And then I'll go back and do some study and some more digging onto the plant after I've met with my client. And it's like, oh, wow, this is perfect for that person. Yeah. And I feel like the information's coming through me, but it's to stimulate the client's own innate intelligence, their own connection with their own body. And I feel like as they're telling their story, their narrative, their experience with their health, and consultations can be quite a good amount of time. Time's important to be able to listen and for somebody to articulate their experience. The plants come through, and it's to turn. My hope is to turn them back to their own listening to themselves. As they're telling the story, they can hear their experiences and hear it sequentially or not sequentially, and they make their own connections. And in that way, really, the person is their own healer.
It's empowering, it feels like, right? I mean, once you are sharing that information, I feel like, the client holds on to that, and it also gives them some skin in the game, if you will. It feels like, it's an empowering prospect to feel like, oh, this feels right, and then learn more about the plant and recognize that, wow, this is the right plant.
It validates that intuitive hit.
Right.
Yes. I think herbalism is about sovereignty over your own health, to be able to make your own health choices and decisions about how you want to manage your health, and that
so
it's
important.
About accessibility. I mean, not everybody can afford to go to a natural doctor, which is wonderful to have that option, but not everybody can do that. And it takes a lot of time and testing and things to go through those processes. But to have access to plants that you can easily purchase at $3 an ounce, or grow your own medicine. I mean, that's about having that independence and that sovereignty and that ability to make your own decisions about how you want to manage your health. And plant medicine offers that, I believe. It's important.
Yeah, I think going back to health sovereignty and equity and accessibility, we know herbal medicine is not covered under health insurance, right? So what is the herbal community doing to create access to care? I mean, I know you are very generous with your time and volunteering in a free clinic, but as a whole, in general, is there any information that you can share about how one might access herbal medicine in a way that's affordable?
I would say you can go to the American Herbalist Guild website, ahg.org, I think it is, and they can connect you with herbalists in your area. And from there, you can go they can connect you with even more free resources or affordable resources. I offer a sliding scale to my clients. No background check or financial disclosures needed. I trust that process. That's what I would think. And Smile I offer that free mini clinic on Thursdays. People can call me from 2 to 4:30.
That's so great. I love that you guys are still doing that.
Yeah.
You know, here at Capital Integrative Health, those issues are super important to us. And so, you know, access to care and equity and health sovereignty as well. So it feels good to have that common thread, you know, in the work that we're doing here at the clinic and also what's happening out in the community, especially free clinics and things like that.
It's so great to know that because having connections with other practitioners really is is a good service to offer.
Yeah,
people. So
it just feels right. It's the right thing to do, right? Yeah. So let's talk about what herbal medicine means to you and why were you drawn to it?
Oh, boy. Many moons ago, my oldest child's going to be 29. So when I was pregnant
mama.
with my firstborn child, I did not want to go to the hospital. And so I belonged to a co-op, and I thought of myself as a healthy person back then. Yeah. And I was in there telling one of the other women, I really don't want to go to the hospital. And she's like, you can have a home birth. And I'm like, what? I'd never heard of that. And so, of course, I was completely on board. And my partner at the time was not on board. And so we did some investigating. And let's interview an obstetrician, and let's interview a midwife. And at that time, I was in Colorado, and home birth was illegal.
Oh, wow.
So it was underground. They legalized it while I was pregnant, so that was great. But but it felt right to work with a midwife. And I purchased a book called The Magical Child by Joseph Chilton Pierce. And it really shifted my perception of my place on this planet and my connection to other beings on this planet and what it meant to be a mom and have a natural birth and being connected to nature. So it was about having safe space for the mother, for the womb. Actually, the Latin root of matrix means uterus or womb.
Is that right?
And that's one of the primary things we all need as humans is a safe space, and the uterus and the womb is such a safe space. And so I just dove into that, reading and learning more and more about what it means to be connected to nature and the natural world. And I ended up having to transport in the hospital. I wasn't able to have a home birth with that child, the second one I did. But it just started me on that journey to go into what it means to be connected to nature and to live as a human, one other being on this planet. There's plants, there's animals, and that's what started me.
Yeah, getting back to your roots, so talking about that ancestral, I feel like we're so far detached from all of that. So it sounds like you really were inspired to start to go back and get in touch with yourself and your ancestors and what's natural.
Yeah, it was. And my family was not, it was a disjointed family, disconnected, divorced family. My parents they didn't know anything about their ancestors much, except for my father. His Polish grandmother would do mustard packs and do everything natural for them. And my stepmother's German, and she came here from Germany when she was 19, and she did natural, basic things, chamomile tea, wrapping your neck, keeping your feet warm.
All important things.
Yeah, and all those things connected just helped me, like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is how I want to live in my body. This is how I want to live my experience on this planet.
It is a way of life, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I don't think herbalism, that's who I am. It's not the work I do.
Not what you do, it's who you are.
It's who I am.
I love that. So what is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far from being an herbalist? I know there are so many. Can you pick one? I don't know, but... yeah, I mean, Yeah.
I'm a baby herbalist. So even though I took my first training, my son was 2 when I first took my first training. I took a 9-month training back in Colorado and studied with some excellent herbalists, Linda White Dove, Brigitte Mars, Feather Jones, like real Western renegade herbal women, that are telling their experiences of sitting on the mountain, talking to the plants, tasting the root of Osha, and which is a Rocky Mountain herb. It's an amazing
Bear
plant.
medicine.
Bear medicine, those aromatics. And I just love story, and I was drawn into those stories and their experiences. And so I forgot your question.
The biggest lesson you've learned
is to listen,
so far
is to listen and to slow down, and that and what does it's important to me to be of service to, while I'm on this planet, to whoever the plants, the animals, the ground, the rocks, whatever, the people I interact with, and being in that experience, you get tested. If that's my desire, my longing, and I feel like our longing helps inform our choices and what we want to do in our lives and how we want to live and what avenues we're going to go down. But my longing and my desire is to serve, and is to serve with plants and be connected to nature, because I love the cycles of nature, and I love the cycles of life, of what it means to be a baby, a middle-aged person, and a menopausal woman, which is I'm going into the crone phase of my life right now.
I love that. Let's talk about that word, crone.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Because we hear that a lot in herbalism. I think, the maid, the maiden, and the crone, and I know it's a whole other topic, but the language around herbalism, it's almost like its own language. And, saying you're a baby herbalist, when I think of you, I think of you are one of my dearest mentors, and we have in common a wise woman friend, Stephanie, whom I know we both loved very much, who's not with us anymore, but left behind lots of lessons for a lot of people. And when I think about entering into this crone phase, I just wish that we had a different name, but the language around herbalism is so interesting to me. It's there's a lot of I think going back to Hildegard von Bingen, whom we are going to get to later, but the language from that 1400s all the way up hasn't really changed all that much in herbal tradition and teaching. Do you find that to be true?
It is, because it's deep. They're deep roots, and we're talking about Western herbalism, and Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. Same, they have the longevity of practice, and I'm formally Western trained, mostly Western trained, but I have some training in Ayurveda. My first year, the program I went through was KP Khalsa's course.
Can't get more Ayurveda than
Can't get more Ayurveda than KP Khalsa. He's still one of my mentors. I still work with him when I have challenges. But and their language is the same also, because deep truths stay the same. While there might be change in other ways, and we are changing, and the culture's changing, all those other things, but these deep truths about what it means to live a life on this planet are the same. We do start off as a women. We do start off as a maiden. Some people would say the virgin, but then we can argue about that word.
Right. Yes.
What that really means.
We'll stay away from that
one.
A
woman who's sovereign unto herself, really. Is
Yeah.
What it means.
Yes. I like that
definition.
Someone. Yes.
That doesn't belong to someone. But and then there's motherhood. Not that you have to be a mother, but it's just and then the crone phase or the wise woman phase. You can use the wise woman phase.
Let's call it the wise.
If you want to go through that. And it's not about. It's about just having a body of life that you've lived, a body of work that you've created, mistakes you've made and try to learn from.
Yeah, embrace those too.
That's just different, and I feel different as I'm going to be 56 next week. It's my birthday, actually.
Full disclosure?
Full disclosure, I'm going to be 56 next week, and I do feel the shift physically in me. And in Ayurveda, we'd use different words. We use, kapha is and this would be for men and women, that's the beginning phase, and we're fat and juicy, and, potential, the seed that's in the ground, that's the potential, and that's the impulse.
That new earth.
And that's what the kapha stage is. And then the middle stage is the pitta stage, that fiery stage when we're pursuing our our purpose and what we want to do in the world, and how we want to bring our desire and our longing out, and how we want to express that. And then the Vata stage is the last part of our life, which can be a long time. I've seen traditionally starts around the age of 60, and those have energetic patterns. So language, these deep truths are timeless, and the energetics of a person, the energetics of life, those stay. And plants have energetics. Energy is everywhere, and I don't mean that in a woo-woo way.
I totally get that.
In an embodied way. I mean, what it means to be embodied with these energetics in our body, and how do we integrate our experiences? It's important to me. I really believe that the body is a record of how we've lived our life.
Oh, wow. Isn't that an interesting way to think about it? Yeah, right.
Every experience we've had, every impression, how we process that experience, what's happened to us, and how we integrate it, can we integrate it? And there's that book by Gabor Mate, The Body Keeps the Score. I think he wrote that. Was that him? Or
I know that
When the Body Says No.
Yeah, I know the book, but I'm not sure about the author.
But it is true. Gil Headley is a body worker, and he says that the body is the sacred transcript upon which we write our lives.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
In that way, it's a record, and it is a truth, and it's, I think I rambled off your question. But
No, it's great. Thinking about, great. I mean, I love all of that. And talking about energy, it's meaningful, right? I mean, energy is real. We all are affected or impacted by it. And I'm thinking right now of these plants that you brought, this lovely stinging nettle and Solomon seal, and the energy that they're bringing into the room. It's just like, hey guys, thanks for coming, and knowing that they're medicine, and they are here, and the energy shifts in the room when you bring in something alive. And so, the energy, definitely a real thing. So let's talk about who could benefit from herbal medicine.
Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody can be an herbalist, and everybody can benefit from plant medicine. And
I wonder about what about people who are on pharmaceutical medications? Oftentimes, I know we are asked the question, I'm on 1 through 10 Western pharmaceuticals. Is it okay and safe for me to take herbs? So how would you decide that? I mean, what is the general rule of thumb there?
Well, it is tricky. I mean, and you do have to take that into consideration, because, it's serious. It's very serious, and you don't want to cause any harm and disrupt. It's not just the interactions with the plants and the medicine, to me. I mean, because that is one piece of it, right? You have to think about the chemical reaction that could possibly happen, although it's very, very rare. It is very rare. I mean, you should work with an experienced clinical herbalist who knows about these things, and who can study and speak with confidence and some knowledge about it. But it's not just about that. You don't want to disrupt the person's healing protocol. I mean, and I've had plenty of people who come to me, or I've seen them at the herb store, and say, hey, I want to manage my blood pressure naturally, so I'm not going to take my medication. Well, they don't take the herbs seriously enough.
Yeah.
They think if I take this cup of herbal tea, it's going to manage my blood pressure if I do it once or twice a week. But herbal medicine is serious medicine. It takes thoughtful, thorough assessment of a person, and thoughtful, thorough consideration of the plant actions and the person's whole health history, and how to formulate a protocol, not just about herbs, but how to integrate it with what they're doing already. Because the body, you don't want to swing from one extreme to the next, because that's going to destabilize the person and their health. So it's really important to do things slowly, and to integrate the herbs slowly into the person's life, besides thinking about chemical constituents and possible harmful reactions that way. But how can you not disrupt what's keeping them stable now? And how can you honor and do this slowly so you don't cause more harm?
Yeah.
Yes, that's important.
Is it common for you to work with other medical professionals with the client?
Well, I am open to it, and I have talked to a couple of medical practitioners for my clients, with them to talk about what we're doing. they don't take herbalism seriously, the ones I've talked to.
Well, we do here at Capital Integrative Health.
So I'm happy to talk to anybody, and we can have conversations if we're partnering. I'd love to partner. I mean, I've partnered with a naturopath for a client who was going into kidney failure. I was still in clinic as a student, so that was way beyond my scope of practice. They were on 13 medications, and when they came to me, they had itchy skin. So I thought, I can handle itchy skin.
Yeah.
I'm an herbalist. I can do that. But months after working with them, they finally sent me there. And this was a lesson I learned. You should get the information ahead of time. But this was my friend's father. And I said, I can just give him teas and do topicals and talk about that. But when I got his blood work in, he was going into kidney failure. And I could see it. And nobody was telling him that in his practice.
Oh,
he was
okay.
a veteran, and he was going through the VA system. Now, I can't diagnose this. That's out of my scope of practice, and I don't ever want to do that. So I contacted a naturopath, Eric Yarnell, and he's also an herbalist.
He's at Bastyr, right?
He's at Bastyr, yeah. And he has a private practice that, we can link that if that's important to people. He's amazing. And so he took over that part of the client's protocol, and we worked together. I was able to sit in on the consultations and, talk to Dr. Yarnell about these things. And so,
as a budding herbalist, you were talking with Eric Yarnell.
Yeah.
So that was like, that should have been a sign of your destiny.
I will call and talk to anybody who will talk to me and partner with me to help somebody who's suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, many hands make light work, they say about physical labor, but even managing somebody's health care, it can get cloudy. But if we're clear and we're talking about what our roles are, we can all support this person and come together and be like a round table and really serve somebody to meet their health goals. They're willing to do the work. It's a lot of work what this person had to do.
Yeah.
But
working in community, working collaboratively,
yeah.
I find those are the best experiences, right?
Yes,
best
definitely.
healing experiences.
Yeah, because, herbalists, I feel like I'm on an island sometimes,
Yeah.
because it's so different. I'm not in a group practice like a lot of doctors work in a group practice. So I will reach out, and I love working with other people. I have so much to learn. So
yeah. I'm wondering about talking about using herbal medicine in conjunction with Western medicine. From an integrative perspective or functional medicine perspective, here we're always trying to get to the root cause, right?
Yes.
Pardon. So it feels to me like using plant medicine, it's not prescribed, if you will, in a way that typical conventional medicine is prescribed, right?
Yes.
It's you're looking at the whole person.
Yes.
And can we talk more about that, about how that works, how you're actually formulating for a client, and how, because the root cause, getting to the root cause would be the objective, right?
Yes. So. It is, yes, you do need to get to the root, but it can be a lot of, sussing and wading through the mud to get there.
Yeah.
And so how do you support the person in the meantime? And so, and herbalism, I consider myself a Western herbalist who supports the vitality of the person, the innate vitality, innate wisdom of that person's body to heal itself. And we can talk about what the difference between healing and curing is, because there is a huge difference. But before I lose track, I want to make sure I give this, because this is such an important question, is that holism means you're looking at the whole person, how they respond to life, not just what's happening in their body, like how they integrate great experiences, how they manage their health. I mean, I do believe our body is the most sacred and intimate relationship we have. I mean,
love
it's
that.
the most intimate relationship we have, and we're so close to it, but we neglect it so much. It's, it's too close maybe. We forget how close we are to our own physical being. And so it's so easy to neglect it. But an herbalist, and how I practice as an herbalist, is to look at the energetic patterns in the person. And so, Western herbalism, all herbalism has some form of this energetics. And so we're not looking at the disease. We're not saying, oh, they were diagnosed with congestive heart failure, I'm going to treat congestive heart failure.
With A, B, or C herb.
With
right?
A, B, or C herb, because it doesn't work that way.
It's not a plug and play.
It's not a plug and play, for sure. And so that's just like using pharmaceuticals. I mean, I've got this symptom, I'm going to take this pharmaceutical, it causes these side effects, I'm going to take these other pharmaceuticals to help mitigate those side effects of that pharmaceutical.
Which is very common,
It is common, and we do need pharmaceuticals. They're life-saving. I mean, we do have to have them, especially when if we want to change patterns of behavior. And that's one thing one of my teachers really taught me that was such a good lesson is behavior and changing patterns of behavior. It takes time. You know, we have an awareness of, oh, I do this in my life. This is just simplistic. I eat ice cream every night, 2 bowls of ice cream every night, because I have acid reflux, and it hurts, the acid reflux. So I want something cold, thinking that's going to help heal it, because it seems like opposites can help.
Yeah, it makes
heal.
sense. It's hot in there. I
Yeah,
want something
yeah.
cold.
I want something cold. Plus, it tastes good.
Yeah.
And that can be medicine in and of itself. There's all kinds of medicine, right? You know, just the pleasure of eating something delicious is medicine. Yeah. But you know, that's not necessarily the way to heal. You want to look at do they have hypochlorhydria? Do they have low, are they cold and deficient in their digestive secretions? Are they taking PPIs, but they aren't consistent with them, and they take them for a week, then they go off a couple of days, and then their body makes too much acid reflux. That's the behavior piece. But if a person I think energetics are really easy to see if you think about respiratory issues. So if they have a lot of mucus that's stuck in their body, you know, that's like a deficient ability to express the mucus, but it's also the stagnant, gunky stuff. So we have to look at how do we move that out of the body.
And that would be dependent on the person,
That would be
correct?
dependent
It's
on the
not, again, you
person.
don't just pick 1 or 2 herbs and say
Right.
this is going to do this for this person.
Right. It's their energetics. It's what's their constitution. Are they already a hot, dry person, or are they a cold, damp person? And we're mixtures of each of these things, right? We have a baseline constitution, and then we might have a condition that is like if we got a cold, and we got a lung infection, and we got this dampness in our lungs. We might already be a hot, dry person, but we happen to have this damp, wet condition in our lungs. If we do too much drying herbs, for too long, we might throw them into a tailspin, and if their baseline constitution is hot and dry. So you have to consider that when you're considering the person.
I think that's so important because generally speaking, you know, I think there is a common misconception that herbs are plug and play.
Yes.
And that, you know, valerian is for sleep and ashwagandha is for stress, and that may or may not be true for different people, right? And and again, going back to what do we do first? First, do no harm. And so, like you said, giving drying herbs to someone with a dry cough, you know, not so good.
No, definitely not.
Not so good.
And you assess that by, you know, looking at their tongue, feeling their pulse, listening to their story, feeling their skin, you know, anyway.
Looking at their tongue.
Yes. It's so fun.
I know. Yeah. So where are you headed? Where are you headed with herbal medicine?
Well, I just came out of a long few years of being outward, and I'm feeling the call to be more inward. So
brave of you.
It's like so counterintuitive because the culture is so be out there, market yourself, do this and this, and I'm like, I need to come in. So I'm going outside more. I know that's, but to be more connected to my plants. I'm creating my own medicine garden in my yard. So I've been planting plants, and it's so important for me to be I'm not a gardener. I'm not a person. I always say I have to have plants that can thrive on neglect. That don't need a lot of special care.
I can think of one right here. The stinging nettles, they'll go anywhere. Right?
We have stinging nettle. Solomon seal's the same way.
Yeah.
It doesn't need shade, but so I just want to have my hands back in the soil instead of being on the computer and teaching and having all the energy go out. I feel like I can't serve if I'm not filling myself up and staying connected, that I can't do my work.
That's so wise, you wise woman. to really to think about, this is what I need in order to move forward and go inward and really reflect. I know you've been a super busy person for a long time, so I think that's going back to basics, right? Taking care of ourselves first, taking care of our physical body that we are often so far detached from.
Yes.
But I love this image of you in your garden, planting your medicine, tending to your medicine. So I'm wondering, are you making medicine with the plants you're growing?
I will be. Right now, I have some plants that I've been growing for, a long time, 15 years or so. So apothecary rose, one of my favorite. So I make medicine mostly for myself or certain conditions as they come up for clients, like post-COVID pneumonia. I've made medicine from things like that in my garden for those kind of things.
What are you using generally for post-COVID pneumonia? I know it depends on the person, but depends on the person. We just said that. I know, but I'm super curious about this one person.
This one person, and I just made this medicine. This wasn't necessarily for my garden, except for I did use rose petal honey in the recipe. That's for my garden. I make rose petal honey, and roses are great medicine to help us connect to our heart, which is so important to me. But I used Osha root. We talked about Osha. I used Archangelica. I used warming aromatic herbs, but also I used holy basil, Tulsi.
One of my favorites.
Yes. It is a warming. This person's very cold, and they're dry normally, but they have a damp condition in their lungs. We were just talking about that. It's funny. Yeah. So the honey's going to help with that also. And then she's also taking another syrup with marshmallow root.
Yes.
And some cardamom and ginger. And,
I love your recipes. I'm always excited when I get formulations from Colleen for a couple of reasons. Not only do you make them taste so yummy, there's always a sprinkle of cinnamon or cardamom or something yummy that's also useful. But I love, I know that you formulate with intention. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about formulating with intention, not just, okay, I know what this client needs. I'm going to put together 2 parts of this and 1 part of this and a half a part of that. Having known you and how you formulate, I just feel like, oh, wow, if you're going to get medicine, you need to get it from Colleen, because not only are you getting the benefit of the plant medicine, but you're getting her healing intention, her vibe, if you will.
It feels a little embarrassing to talk about this because it's so intimate. But that's what my intention is. When I'm making medicine, I turn off all distractions. I make sure I'm fully present and holding the person in my heart. I might turn on some good vibey music that's full of love. Because
this is energy. It's all healing energy.
Yes.
So beautiful.
And the true medicine to me is the love and the intention.
Yes.
I mean, medicine comes in so many ways, right? Somebody loves music and that helps them heal. Somebody loves connection with another person. Somebody likes to rock out to music. That can be their medicine too. But for me, as the person who's creating the formula, my intention and my presence is part of that medicine. And so I want to make sure that I'm fully present for them and I'm holding them in my heart and imagining them in their wholeness, not in their disease state, because they are whole and they have this condition also. So they're all these things. And so I don't want to focus just on the pathology, like, oh, they have this, may they be healed. I hold just the essence of who they are in me while I'm creating that medicine, because they are whole. And they have this condition. And so to me, that's healing, not curative. It's curative, but it isn't curing. So curing, I think our Western idea of what curing is that we won't have the disease anymore, that we will be completely cured. Hallelujah. I have no more symptoms and I can get back and I can go eat whatever I want, do whatever I want. Yes. But to me, we can be whole and in the healing process while we have our condition. I mean, I have lupus. I was diagnosed with 4 autoimmune disorders. When I was, I started in my early 20s, it took them a long time to find out what was going on. And I'm living with these conditions, health, and I'm healed through that.
And thriving. Look how beautiful.
And thriving.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, illness can be a metaphor for how we interact with our life. So to me, I looked at it that way, me and my relationship with what does autoimmune mean to me? So that's what how I went through that process of healing.
Could you say again, curing versus healing? I want to make sure we hear that clearly.
Sure. I was raised this way, and I think a lot of people in the Western world, or when I talk to other people, I hear this common thread that curing or healing means you're cured, like you will never have this illness again, and that you're completely finished with it. But I don't think of healing that way. I think of course, you want to live comfortably in your body. You want to reduce suffering. I want to, reduce the suffering in the person. But the work is to integrate what's happening to you. You might never get a lab report that says you're cured from lupus, or you're cured from celiac disease, or you're cured from congestive heart failure, because that's something that is a progressive. There is a truth in what's happening in your body. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. You can thrive with that and be healed. And that's healing to me. How you relate to what's happening to you, like how you integrate it into your life, how you come to peace with it, and how you can manage it. So I think if you have this inner conflict, like if I can't be perfect with my diet, if I can't be perfect with my herbal protocol or with my whatever, it becomes like a self-hating.
Yeah, you're kind of boxed in, right?
Yeah,
you're boxed in.
Yeah, and it inhibits your wellness. It inhibits your ability to feel good in your body and feel good with what it means to be human. We are in these physical bodies that do keep record of what happens to it. It can't help it. It's not a judgment. It's just, it is. It just is.
It's a story.
Yeah, it's a story. And it's okay. And it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just, how do you integrate it and reduce suffering?
I love that. Thank you. So great. So let's talk about what offerings do you have and how can people get involved?
Well, I'm very low tech, so I don't have a website.
I love that about you too.
You can call me and email me.
So you don't have a lot of screen time, which is great.
I try to reduce my screen time as much as possible.
Oh, yes.
And I'm also at Smile Herb Shop Tuesday afternoons. You can come see me then. And I offer a free mini clinic Thursday afternoons. Right now I'm just doing that via the phone. I used to do it in person, but too many people were coming that are at risk into the store with really severe vulnerabilities for their health. So I didn't want to continue to do
Too
that.
risky.
So from 2 to 4:30 on Thursdays, people can call and we can have a conversation.
What does a consultation with an herbalist outside of the mini clinic? I know the mini clinic, you're kind of scratching the surface and treating symptoms, and if you need to go deeper, you're asking people to make an appointment.
Yes.
If one were to make an appointment with you as an herbalist or any herbalist, what would one expect? What would that look like?
Well, you'd have to fill out a long health history form.
Super long.
Super long. I think I've got it down to 9 or 10 pages. It has energetic assessment questions on it also, family history, personal health history, how you're relating to your life right now, those kind of conversations. And lab work, I do review lab work, and I do actually work with other colleagues. If something's beyond my scope of practice and I want to get more information, I bring other colleagues into my separate from the actual consultation to view it. And then we'll have a conversation. We'll talk about what you're experiencing in your body and in your life and how you want to manage it. And we're collaborating and having a conversation on what herbs can do, what they can't do, talk about expectations, talk about time frame, talk about what it means to actually take plant medicine, because it's not always delicious.
And it's not always immediate,
and
right?
it is definitely almost always not immediate.
Yeah.
And so definitely I want to reduce suffering as much as possible, for sure. And we try to work on that. We talk about that. I think sometimes just knowing that it's okay, that suffering is going to take, getting past these acute symptoms is going to take time, that can actually cause some less tension in the body, and so people can reduce that. But then we have a conversation, we talk about, and then I will make a formulation and then bring that to my client. What
about teaching? Are you teaching these days?
I'm doing a little bit. I was teaching for a long time. I was teaching for about 5 years, and I pulled away from the formal classroom and decided to keep it small. I'm going to teach my first class at Smile, actually, in the middle of May, outside.
Congratulations. Outside, in the garden?
In the garden.
How do we sign up?
It's a very small class, but you can go on Eventbrite and Smile Herb Shop. It's on nettles.
Oh,
so I'm going to make
fun.
nettle food and talking about nettles. And I'm also doing things that I'm teaching at a women's shelter, teaching.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
I'm just going to, there already is a lay herbalist working with them, and this is her passion, and she was one of my students, and she asked me to help take the knowledge deeper. These women are also gardeners, and so we want to talk about how they can grow their own medicine and talk about what they're experiencing in their lives right now.
Is that local?
It's in D.C.
Great.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm able to say the name. So
okay, yeah, we don't need to, but good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's great.
Yeah.
So what about plant walks? Do you have any plant walks or anything like that planned anytime soon?
schedule.
I'm just like Please, can we have a plant walk?
I don't have anything scheduled right now, but I'm open to it. I mean, if people want to reach out, I'm open to these things. Right now, I'm kind of feel like I'm in this liminal place, like the between space, and landing in my yard. That's the work I want to do, and I've had, I'm open to it. If people want to, I love doing those things.
Raising my hand for the herb walk. So, as an herbalist who obviously is so connected to the tradition and the plants and the energy around what it's like to be a true healer, calling on ancestors and plant spirits. I know that sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's a real thing. And but seriously, as an herbalist, what is one thing that you wish people knew about herbal medicine?
I wish people knew that it is accessible, and but just as we've talked about, it needs to have a thorough assessment. What I worry most about with sexy marketing of certain plants, like ashwagandha, had a couple of years ago, was getting all this attention.
So crazy, right?
And I worry that does a disservice to healing. And what the plants really can do. And cannabis, I mean, think about cannabis. I mean, it is one medicine, but it also is on an extreme spectrum of nervine plants.
Yeah.
And there's so many plants in that spectrum that have just maybe even more, or have just as much healing power as cannabis, which is an amazing plant. And I want people to know more about more plants, and that you need to find the right formula for you, and that if you take ashwagandha and you're not seeing any results, that it's not because herbal medicine doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, that's a great message to get out there.
Yeah, it's that it's just not the right plant for you.
Not the right one for you.
Ashwagandha is definitely not the right plant for me.
I know, I've heard some stories.
I have a severe reaction to ashwagandha.
Yeah.
And I keep trying it every once in a while just to see, why everybody loves ashwagandha. Maybe I should try it again. And I have the same reaction. But that it's not about, in that way, people talk about how is herbalism safe?
Yes.
And in that way, it's unsafe to me, because it can delay a proper, thorough protocol for a person. It can, if a person takes a plant, but they don't want to take medicine. And I have plenty of people come to the herb store and say this: I don't want to take medicine, but they want to just do these quick fix herbs, and that's not serving them, because they're delaying their healing more and more time. And to me, in that way, it's unsafe. Having this marketing for this one plant that can do this thing for you and you'll be fine. Take this high blood pressure formula, and that's made for a generic population, and it'll work for everybody. And that's just not the way it works. It can help in the short term, but in the long term, for deeper healing and deeper safety and effectiveness, you need a really thorough assessment, and to really have a plant formulation for you, and not for high blood pressure.
Yeah, getting to the root of who the person is.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
So that's what I want people to know, that herbalism, it takes serious, thoughtful, thorough assessment, but it's for everybody. It is, even if you're on pharmaceuticals. Even while you're breathing, if you can take a breath, herbalism can help you. It can help, your spirit, your mind, your heart, your body, so many different ways of working with plant medicine. I just finished a course last year, actually, on sacred essential oils. And for the longest time, I avoided essential oils.
Me
Do you mind
too.
if I go down this rabbit hole?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, because I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, these are cool, but...
Yeah, because they're such potent medicine.
Yeah,
and,
super strong.
KP Khalsa, and I'll go back to KP, one of my first teachers. I was like stunned when he said, it's very potent medicine. You have to be very careful with dosing. And there are so many multi-level marketing businesses that have grown up around this medicine, which I feel like it makes accessibility limited, which I have an issue with that too. So I had to really heal my relationship with that, to not put up walls against essential oils. Plus, it takes so much plant medicine.
That's the thing I was going to ask. They're so strong because it takes so much of the plant, right, to just get a little tiny drop of oil. And so then comes in a sustainability issue and, all the stuff circling that. So.
Yeah, and as an herbalist, I'm responsible to the plants and to the earth, not just to the people I'm serving.
Yes.
Because if I'm taking too much of the plant for medicine, we're not going to have that medicine. And the plants aren't there just for us. they were here way before us.
Yeah.
So we are lucky that we're able to partner with them, and we should honor them in that way. And
I agree,
they're not just
yeah.
here for us to take, and just use them to help serve us, because that's not what their role is, in my opinion. We're lucky that we can do this, and I want to give them that respect. So
And gratitude.
and that
too,
gratitude,
yeah.
that deep gratitude, and make sure my footprint isn't huge as an herbalist, that I'm just not thinking about sustainability and taking plants that are from, I do use plants that are from other parts of the world, but I am try to be thoughtful about it, because, what are the conditions of the people growing it? But I took a sacred oil alchemy class, and it really helped me connect to the essential oils in a different way, about the path of the miraphor. We were talking about plants, can help you spiritually. Essential oils can be used very thoughtfully that way. They should not be taken internally because they can be caustic.
I was going to ask, can we say that out loud?
Yeah, I will say that out loud again and again and again. Because they're such potent medicine. And you might not have a side effect in the beginning. You might not see something short term, but cumulatively it can damage your mucosal membranes and then really wreak havoc in the body, as it has this immune response over time to this exposure, chronic exposure to this potent medicine.
So thank you for this messaging that plant medicine is serious medicine, and should be considered as such.
Yes.
And consulting a clinical herbalist is the best way to go.
Yes. Or somebody who's had a body of
some training,
a body of training and experience. For sure.
We have a couple of we have one naturopathic doctor here at CIH, and so she has some herbal training, and so it's fun talking with her. But someone with training, exactly. It's serious medicine.
Yes, definitely.
Not to be underestimated. Right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for creating that awareness, or reminding us of that. So I know you said you don't have a website, and I'm actually bowing down to that about that. But how can people learn more about you and your work? Is there a phone number or email, or do you want to share anything like that, or you just want to lay low?
No, I'm happy to share. They can email me. My name, Colleen Zuntag @gmail.com. 2 L's and 2 E's and Colleen.
Okay.
ZUNTAG @gmail.com. Email me and just put herbal consultation or herbal information in the subject line. And I also, again, a smile. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Or they can come, if they want to see me in person, suss me out and make sure I'm not some crazy woman that's just going to...
I can assure you she is not.
to go graze in the grass. I've had a parent actually come to me to meet me that way. It's like, I want to make sure you're not just going to go tell him to pick dandelions before I have you work with my son.
Nothing wrong with dandelions.
I totally respect the mother for doing that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway,
got to be on the lookout.
Check me out on Tuesday afternoons at Smile. Awesome. Usually I'm there now, but I'm here with you.
Thank you. And we are so grateful to have you here today. Thank you, Colleen, for joining us, for sharing your wisdom, your beautiful light and energy, and your fire and passion for this work. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to leave us a review. It helps our podcast to reach more listeners. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episodes and conversations. And thank you so much again for being with us.